Let's talk about nitro fuel. You're a beginner in nitro RC. What fuel do you use? These are just 3 examples of the fuels that you could use. So this is a part of my series. I'm doing a series and have been doing a series for quite some time about the beginners in nitro. How you should get started and what you should do, in my opinion. It's all in my opinion. I have to put a disclaimer out there these days because people are people and they think they know everything. So I must disclaim anything that I tell or say in this beginner series is all my opinion and in my 25 years experience of nitro. That's it. Simple as that. You might find other information which is more useful to you than my information. So nitro fuel. You can buy 12%, which I haven't got. You can go lower than 12. You can get 0%. 12, I think you can buy... No, I think it's just 12... 0, 10%, 12%, 16%, which is what we've got here. 16% ready to run fuel. Now, we'll talk about the ready to run and the race... where's the race gone? Oh bloody hell. What have I done with the race? Hold on. There it is. I knew there was something missing. There's something missing. There you go. Right, there we go. Ready to run and race fuel in a minute. And then obviously you got 30%. Now I know some countries have different regulations and variations of percentages of nitro. I'm pretty sure Europe is limited to 10% or some rubbish like that. Maybe some other parts of the world you're limited. In England or the UK, we can have up to 30% still, luckily. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I'll let you decide when I explain what the different percentages mean for you. So, ready to run fuel. RTR, this is Optimix, also Model Technics. If you've got Model Technics fuel, it's also Optimix own Model Technics. They don't make it in Shoebury-Ness anymore, they're somewhere up north. The ingredients are probably on the back of this tub, but nitro fuel primarily consists of some type of oil, nitromethane and methanol. Methanol makes up the bulk of the fuel. The nitromethane is a small percentage of it, whatever it says here, 16, 25 or 30, 10 or 12, whatever else it is you buy. And then obviously there's a certain percentage of oil. Might be 4% oil, might be 3% oil, it could be whatever. And it could be castor oil, could be mineral oil. There's different types of oil that they use. The colouring of the fuel, you can get see-through fuel, like chute fuel for example, is completely see-through. It's completely clear. There's no colouring to chute fuel whatsoever. Optimix and Model Technics are red or pink, whatever you would like to call that. This is slightly less of a pink. I think that's probably because this one's a bit older. Oh no, it's not, it's still within date. I don't know why that is, but it is. And you can get different ones, some of them are blue. Yeah, it's just the colour, it's just the type of oil which is used which gives that colour. So what percentage should you go for? Now, if you go and ask someone in a model shop, you'll probably be told that you need to choose your percentage based on the size of your engine, which is moderately correct. I mean, smaller engines really should be used with a lower percentage of nitro, because the more percentage of nitro, the bigger the bang inside the engine, the bigger the combustion, and they can't really cope with a big explosion inside them. But in my experience, I've used 25% with all engines. 12s, 18s, 15s, 21s, 28s, 30s, etc. Never had any issues. So in my opinion, you can use any percentage you want on whatever engine it is, in my opinion. But it will affect how your engine tunes and how it runs. The higher percentage of nitro means less of a tune. Let me explain what I mean. So the lower percentage of nitromethane in your fuel will mean that you need to be better at tuning as such, and the word tune is starting to get numb in my head because I hear it so often. It's just bloody, it keeps going on and on and on. Tune, tune, tune. But you need to adjust your carburetor a lot more finely if you're running less nitro. Your engine will run on a fuel which is 0% nitromethane. You can literally just have methanol and oil as a fuel, 0% nitro. And I've made it in the past, and I do plan on making another batch of it. And I also plan on making my own nitro fuels with varying percentages of nitromethane, just for an experiment. But that's for another day. So if you've got a fuel which is 0% nitro, you will need to tune that carburetor, that engine, far more finely than if you had a higher percentage of nitro. So for example, if you were running this 30%, that will mask pretty much all of the bad tuning as such. It'll just go hell for leather. There's so much oil in that and so much nitro in that you won't even realise if it's running lean. If it's running lean, you won't know, because there'll be so much smoke you'll think you're fine. The engine will act as if it's running okay and maybe even slightly rich, but in reality it could be lean. So although you could potentially do some damage to your engine from running it too lean, if you run a high percentage of nitro, it won't show, so nobody will be laughing at you. Not like they're laughing at me right now. 25%, in my opinion, is the benchmark. 25% is where it needs to be, and as I said before, we will explain the RTR and the race. Well, the race fuel has less oil in it and a different type of oil, because it's super light viscosity, as it says on there. So because in racing they want the engines to be as free as possible and just to be able to rev, more oil means less RPMs, slower RPMs. Less oil, believe it or not, although it means the engine may not be lubricated as well as it could be, it will rev faster, it will be faster. So in a racing environment, they don't care if their engine blows up at the end of the race after they've won, do they? They just rebuild it or buy a new one. They want the engine to be as best optimal performance during the race. When the race is ended, assuming they've won or maybe not won, the race is ended, they're back in the pits. If the engine has had it, if it's worn out, they don't care, they rebuild it. But for us lot, we want our engines to last as long as possible. So they have RTR fuel, ready to run fuel, which was designed for people who have a nitro car like you and me, and you want it to last 20 years. Loads of oil in this stuff, really good. So, but you can use racing fuel in your normal car if you want to. It doesn't make a difference to you as just an ordinary person, but that's the difference between the two. If you run 16%, you can still get the same amount of power out of your engine as if you used to run 25. A lot of people seem to think the more percentage, the more power. It is true in a way. However, if you're good enough, you'll be able to tune your carburetor to have the same amount or similar amount of power as if you were running 25. If you had a friend there on 25% and you was on 16, he would have to do less tuning to his engine to get a certain amount of power. You would have to do a slightly more adjustments to your engine, but you would be able to keep up with him and get the same amount of power eventually with 16%. So it's not the end of the world if you're limited to a low percentage of nitro. You will be able to get there in the end. Hopefully that's helped you to understand a little bit about nitro fuels if you're a beginner, and just buy the one which you're able to afford, or buy the one that you're able to get. It'll be perfectly fine for you. You won't have to worry about it at all. It doesn't matter what percentage you get. Thanks for watching. treat people nicely, and one should have a nice, happy life. If you have any comments, put them in the comment box below, and I'll read them all. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, you lot. All the best.